Kawhi Leonard, I think, has just been taught a very valuable lesson in the game of basketball, in life in general. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And even though you think the grass on this pasture that you're grazing on now tastes like doo-doo, that grass is not always greener on the other side. I want to go to Los Angeles. How about the Los Angeles of Canada, bitch? You want to talk about a kind of out of nowhere, what the hell is going on here type of trade. This trade between the Spurs and the Raptors is just all types of freaking weird. Kawhi Leonard wanted out of San Antonio, clearly. Wouldn't have been traded if he didn't. He wanted to go to Los Angeles, preferably the Lakers. Understandable. California kid. Potential to play with LeBron James. Makes a lot of sense. Lakers didn't want to give up the entire farm to get him because they look at it and they say, we've got LeBron, we've got Kawhi, and then what else do we have? I kind of get that. The Toronto Raptors. You got the Los Angeles of Canada, Kawhi. I hope you're happy. I'm pretty damn sure you're not. So that way you could go up there and in your spare time enjoy a higher cost of living. You can also sit there and drink some of the local brew, which is outstanding, I must say. You can sit there and go to hockey games. Yay, Maple Leafs! You could go watch curling live and in person, and who the hell wouldn't want to do that? And you can sit there and have a groupie level of obsession from a guy missing his Degrassi glory days of the past in Drake. Like, what the hell is he nowadays? That's what he's got to look forward to in Toronto. And oh yes, a team now coached by Budenholzer? Solid team, but not quite ready for prime time. That just traded away one of their two best players in order to bring your ass to Toronto. Yee-hoo! So what's this deal? You've got Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green go to Toronto, and Danny Green's like, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this? Man, I'm a good player. I'm part of a championship team in the past. I know my role, I do my role, and I do it at a decent level. Why do I gotta pay the price of going to Canada? Sorry, Canadians, I'm just saying. Canada in the wintertime, these dudes, especially coming from Texas, that's a bit of a culture shock. Let's just call it as we see it. But dang it all, then sending DeMar DeRozan down in San Antonio, where he clearly doesn't seem all that happy about going, whether it's the fact of he liked Toronto, or it's just the fact that maybe he doesn't look forward to playing with Popovich, or maybe it's the fact he enjoyed playing in the Eastern Conference where he could sit there every year and bow down and take it from LeBron James in quick fashion, so it was over with, not much lube needed, because he wasn't going to feel much anyways, because he wasn't putting up a fight, if you know what I mean. Now he goes to the Western Conference where you got a superior conference at the top, and now LeBron James is there, so he still can't escape LeBron James. But now he goes there, and the Spurs are going to be paying him $27 million over the next couple of years for a guy who's a really good player, but not a great player, who has some limitations and isn't really the type of perimeter threat that you'd really want out of a superstar level of player in today's NBA. His game is more mid-range to get to the basket, and there's a place for that. And there's a value for that, but it's not the type of value I would necessarily sign $27 million a year to over the next couple of years, especially for a guy that has a history of just flat-out face planting in the playoffs on his team when they really need him. And then you look at this from the Toronto aspect. Why would you be so eager to get rid of DeMar DeRozan for the purposes of shaking things up and everything else, to bring in a guy who proved himself to be a little bit of a malcontent there at the very end of his stay in San Antonio, where now you're bringing him into a place where it's clear he doesn't have any desire to be there. Why would he? Now you're getting him up in Toronto. You're getting a guy that's in a contract year that if you were even able to convince him to stay, you're close to investing up to $40 million a year in a guy just to potentially have to look at trading him again in a couple of years. So you basically took a guy in DeRozan, who at the moment is making more than Kawhi Leonard, but that could very possibly change after next season, who had 2 years of guaranteed money left on his contract, assuming he would opt out after those 2 years, to bring in a guy who really didn't want to come to you for 1 year with the potential risk of losing him for nothing. What, Danny Green? And you had to send Jakob Poeltl in the deal down to San Antonio. Like, to me, this is an incredibly big risk for the Raptors with not a ton of payoff here. Does Kawhi Leonard really move the needle for you that much more than the team you already have constructed, also knowing that your second best player is Kyle Lowry, who is a good player, a pretty good player, but he's not truly special, and he's not a guy that's going to move the needle for you in the playoffs when it matters. And even though he plays better in the playoffs than DeRozan did, and Leonard has championship experience, again, what is a Toronto team going to do in the playoffs, not the regular season, the playoffs against teams like Boston, teams like Philadelphia going forward? All that to bring Kawhi in for like a 1-year rental with the potential to get absolutely nothing in return for him next season. Now, maybe you're thinking and hoping and wishing and praying that he'll pull a Paul George, and where Oklahoma City brings in Paul George, everybody assumes he's out after a year and he goes to LA, and all of a sudden Paul George realizes he can make more money in Oklahoma City and not quite have the pressure of the big market, the big lights, the big city, and he ended up staying there. Maybe they're thinking Kawhi's going to do the same thing, but that seems like an awful big stretch and an awful big risk and an awful big gamble. Now, maybe the play here is to bring in Kawhi for a year, and then in another year, you're going to continue to reshape and remake that roster. You're content with Kawhi Leonard leaving, and you use that cap space to massively overpay somebody, because what true superstar is going to want to sign in Toronto? Just saying. This deal is just really, really bizarre to me. But again, it comes back to the fundamental premise of be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. This is Kawhi Leonard trying to exercise leverage that, frankly, he really didn't have. The Spurs doing what they felt for them was the best thing for them as an organization. And now Kawhi's got to go play in the LA of Canada. Good luck with that, dude!